There we go. It didn't pop up, so I was concerned. I'm gonna call this meeting of High Point County Board of Directors special virtual meeting to order. We're gonna start. Jenna Jo, did we do all the mission stuff last time? We do the virtual.
Don't worry about it. It's
okay.
fine. I think you probably need to approve the agenda, and that's probably it.
Can I have any motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Sarah,
Yeah.
Before you do that, do we need to add the timeline for the board elections on?
No, Matt just said to mention it, and then he was going to send me the stuff for the February.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, Josh, any second?
I'll second.
All right.
And just for the record, I'm taking minutes
Thank you.
since Tika's not on.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on. We need to discuss the calendar for the 26-27 school year. And then we need to vote on the calendar if we feel like we want to accept it.
Hold on 1 second. We got somebody trying to get in, has not been able to get in.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, yeah, Luke is from Manly Garvin.
Sarah,
Right.
I don't think we took a vote on the agenda either, though. But
Hey, Matt.
I think we did. Oh, we didn't take a vote. Yeah. Matt, Luke. Do we have can't hear you, Matt, if you're trying to speak, just letting you know. Do we have a vote for the, all in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay. All right. Now we'll move on. Moving on to the calendar, Matt, we're at the academic calendar, just so you know.
Hey, Sarah, we have Luke Vickery from the
From Manly Garvin.
from Manly Garvin on with us. If we want to do that while he's on.
Yeah, we'll need to move to executive session, and then I don't think we have anybody else on here, though, do we?
Who's the 803 ending? Is that Marie Allison?
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Okay, thanks.
I think we'll have to move to executive session for that, though. But I'm not sure we have anybody on here that we need to move forward. Do I just call motion to move to executive session? Then we can come back out for calendar.
Okay.
That's right.
I'll make a motion for executive session.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Everybody in favor of moving to executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Now, does anybody want to move?
I will move to accept the Manly Garvin proposal pending any contractual changes noted by council.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a lot.
Sorry. I was trying to cover it all.
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, we all over the place right now, so I'm like, ooh, hold on.
Sorry.
Can we move to accept the proposal from the audit proposal, discuss an executive session pending legal review?
There you go.
How about that?
So
Okay.
good with words. That was so perfect.
Pending legal.
I don't know how many of you are looking outside, but I have very large windows next to me and it's currently snowing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is now. If Teresa's making that motion, I'll be glad to second it.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
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 I do have a question before we move on. Sarah, for the agenda, because my mic was, I don't know what was going on with this thing.
Yeah.
Who accepted, who made the motion for the approve the agenda and second it?
Josh and Jenna Jo.
Jenna Jo.
Josh and Jenna. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
All right. Are we ready to go back to the calendar?
I am.
Yes, let's go.
All right. Back to the calendar. All right. Do we have any discussion about the calendar? I will say the more I thought about, can I say something then? The more I thought about it, the week in February, I understand the behind it. I will say as a working parent, it's very difficult for me to take an additional week. I already don't get spring break at the same time, but it's very hard. I would much rather have several Fridays or Mondays off than a whole week off.
Yeah, I've talked to Mr. Sherman about, Mr. Sherman and I were emailing back and forth. I have concerns too about the calendar, the way it's laid out. And that's a big one, the February thing. In principle, we seem to be making decisions at High Point that's more towards what the districts are doing, and I don't agree with that, and that's probably a conversation for another time. But this calendar, there's a few things about it that are hurdles for me. The early start in June, July rather, starting a week earlier is problematic. Probably the biggest one is that week in February. I don't see the value of it coming from our school, and it feels unnatural. There's an unnatural rhythm to it. Like this year we had the week of Thanksgiving off. That feels like a very natural, normal. Lots of people take that week off. Most places already give at least part of that week off. So that felt very normal and natural to me. Whereas having an additional spring break in February, I don't know how people will do that. So I have a problem with that. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it benefits the student academically. I don't think it's a good idea to have another spring break where we're breaking the academic calendar. I don't think it's good for families. And I wrote down a bunch of notes that I'll be glad to unpack more. But yeah, I have concerns for this calendar too, and I think it needs to be reconsidered.
I guess I was curious a little bit about the reason for the changes, because it does seem to be a departure from prior calendars, and we keep going back and forth about like the break in November, a week off for Thanksgiving or not a week off for Thanksgiving. And we're pretty consistent with our spring break being that first week in April, but there are some other changes. I was just curious what was the reasoning for the changes. And also in addition to that, you mentioned, Matt, about the being similar to other districts. I was curious if we knew a percentage of how many parents have kids in both High Point and other schools.
I don't have an exact number for it. I do know that we have a lot of staff that have what I would call a split family, one way or the other, whether it's spouse is also in education, but in a traditional district, or in most of the situations, it's a family that has a remarriage in it. So maybe some of the children are in a traditional district, some of them are with us, and that this is the most different we've ever been from Spartanburg County this past year. And for some of us, it was nice to have the week off at Thanksgiving, but for others, they weren't able to do anything because the rest of the family was still in school. Or there would be days where we had staff members that were having to bring their kids to school with them because our calendars just didn't match. So it did put a lot of our staff families in somewhat of a bind.
Yeah, I liked having the week of Thanksgiving. I thought it was going to be harder than it was, but I really enjoyed having the whole week.
The only issue I have with it is you can only take so many days off, and when you take the week of Thanksgiving and 2 weeks at Christmas, you're putting all the time you take off into one little area, and that hurts you in the spring because you don't have time off, and it really creates problems. It creates discipline problems. It creates other issues not having time off in the spring. Most of our time off is in the first semester, not the second semester.
I mean, is there any way to spread those days out?
So regarding that week in February, we've also always taken President's Day off and the Friday
We-
before as a teacher workday to give that long weekend, which I've always liked. And that is different from the districts. The regular districts do not typically take President's Day off, but that does give that February 4-day weekend.
We started that about.
And then
4 years
you also have one in March too. I mean, I don't, Brian, I heard what you said. I just don't agree, as you and I have discussed. I just don't agree. We have 2 days off in January. Of course, one of those is the 1st of January. We have MLK, and then we have the 4-day weekend in February. I'm looking at this year's calendar. And then in March, there's another Friday. That's a staff development day, but the students are out. So, and then 3 weeks after that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it depends on, you have 3 more weeks of school, and then you have spring break. I mean, there are lots of breaks in there in the existing calendar, and I think it's good. I mean, I think what we did this year is a more natural reflection.
I will this year we will have to go after Memorial Day, which was why we were able to start in August. To have been done by Memorial Day this year, we would have had to have gone back in July. And it's going to be interesting to see what that last week of school looks like with attendance.
Yeah, that is true this year.
Also, one
When-
comment, there is a little bit of a typo on March. It says the 17th is the end of quarter 3, but the 19th is highlighted.
Yeah, there's typos on March, April, and May. But we can talk about that later.
Oh, yes, you're right.
I don't mind relooking at the calendar. I can do that. I only have one request is next year, let's do this in October and vote in November so we're not so far behind.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have a question. How do the teachers feel about this proposed calendar? What's the input from the teachers?
We had teachers and parents on the committee and they all loved it.
Okay, and I'm just speaking from a former, as a teacher or whatever. The weekend, some week somewhere is great to have a break. I understand what you were saying about a more natural break, but I think that week off or somewhere, some time off, midpoint is a good thing. I understand y'all don't know where to put it, but I think it's a good thing.
One of my biggest concerns is, and I mentioned this last year when we went to the full week for Thanksgiving instead of the election holiday, is just the uncertainty of what the calendar is going to be from year to year. Because now we don't have the full week at Thanksgiving. So it's just kind of hard to get an idea of like what parents can expect.
I agree.
I don't care if we have a full week or we don't have a full week. I would just like it to be consistent.
Thought this year for this year we
agree.
came to something good that we could continue, but yeah.
Well, it
Is it next?
can help that Spartanburg County made a huge swing as well.
I was about to mention that. Is next year the year that Spartanburg, all the districts are moving to the whatever they're calling it, year-round schedule?
Yes.
Yeah, that's this schedule.
This, Josh, it's not a year-round schedule, but there's a law that says you can't start school until the 15th of August unless you're a charter school. And the only way to get around that is to say it is some type of a year-round calendar. That's the only reason they have it on there.
But that starts next school year, correct?
This fall of 26, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this coming fall, sorry. So I guess when putting our calendar for next year together was, the week in February, was that to try and be close to the surroundings? I'm just curious as to what thinking was for that week in
we had a-
February.
We had done a 4-day in February, and we liked the idea of a week just to when you have kids in a building for 2 months at a time, having some days off is a good idea. They need a break from each other. The teachers need a break from them. I've worked other jobs. There's no job like teaching when it comes to being in the classroom with the kids for multiple days and not having a break. There just seems to be a decline in learning and an increase in discipline problems.
And that,
Sure.
that week does match when Spartanburg County is doing their week. I think part of our worry was, like I said, with those families that are split, if Spartanburg County is out that week, you might have more families that try to take that week off. And, that may turn into a week of low attendance for us if staff members have other members of the family that are out that week.
Yeah, I hear you. I just keep hearing anecdotes and maybes rather than data. And, I am loath to experiment on our kids. And we've done a good bit of that. And I don't think we need to follow the district. I think that we can be different. I think that we can we don't have to go lowest common denominator. We can actually be a school of choice. And so in many ways, and I realize that's a bigger conversation, but I don't like this trajectory, and I don't think our reasons are compelling to just go along with the district, in my opinion.
Let me just say, Matt, and I respect that, but innovation, no matter who has it, is not necessarily a bad idea. Public schools understand they're losing kids, and they're fighting for kids now, and they're trying new things, and they're becoming innovative just like we were. And we got to make sure we just don't cross out what everybody else does simply because we didn't think of it.
Of course, sure. I completely agree with that.
Is I know our winter weather here, you never know what you're going to get. But just say, for example, we have another, late January, early February. What happens in that event where
We could label
let's say we
3 of
have
those
2 weeks?
We could label 3 of those days as snow makeup days.
Is
Okay.
Josh breaking up for anybody else or just me?
That's what I was.
A little bit.
Yes, for me as well. I was wondering a little bit too, to the point about
Okay.
February being a full week and maybe spreading it out. Like, is there opportunity to sort of sprinkle those days in, like maybe late September, put some in March, and maybe not have a full week in February?
Oh, of course. I mean, we can go back and look at the calendar and give you the options. My question is we're kind of late. So whatever we do, we're going to have to get done very quickly to vote on it at the next board meeting, which is February the 23rd. Is that correct?
I believe so.
We
That's
need
right.
to put the calendar out as soon as we can. So if the board wants me to go back and redo it, I'll get a team together next week and I'll try to have you something by next Friday.
To look at, yeah. I will say I do like the Thursday start to school. That gives 2 days
Agreed.
for everybody to come in, do housekeeping, get all those summer out of the way, and then start fresh on Monday. I do like the Thursday start for school. I like the President's Day 4-day weekend, the teacher work day, and then the President's Day holiday off in February. I think that is helpful to break up that stretch.
Me too. 4-day
and
weekend, yeah.
If at
It's an
all
expensive
possible-
weekend, though.
Yeah. And then if at all possible, to get out before Memorial Day.
Because of Valentine's Day? Is that why she said that?
No, that President's Day weekend is very expensive if you look at doing anything.
Yeah.
It is? Oh,
Yes.
because it's a holiday, like any holiday would be. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay. I thought you meant because of Valentine's Day.
No.
But those are my 2 cents or 3. I think I had 3 comments.
All right.
I would also add that in general, just trying to get it out earlier is a good idea. I know that's not going to help with this, but like for the future, because there are people that have timeshares and things and have to plan vacations somewhat in advance, and knowing what's going to happen is preferable.
I'd like to do it in November, have it voted on in November of every year. We could present it in October. You could study it and vote on it in November.
Yeah, we usually have that first week of December.
Same
We usually don't
again.
have a November. We have that first week of December meeting. That would be a great time to do it. Have
I
it
agree.
done in early December.
All right. So if you want me to look at the calendar, what parameters, what are the three things? Give me some parameters on what you want. So when we go back in there, I can have an idea of what you're looking for.
My opinion. Go ahead, Jenna Jo. Go ahead.
I'll start, Jenna Jo. For me, like I just said, I like the Thursday start date. Come back, maybe if you cannot have the teachers have to come back in July, like bring that back down in August. I'm not a fan necessarily of the full week in February. I think the President's Day and the teacher work day beforehand is fine. And then if at all possible, get out of school before Memorial Day.
Jenna Jo, I love you so much. So many of those things I was thinking, I realize the board has said before, if we can, let's be out by Memorial Day. I realize that the way some of that thing falls, we can't, but I agree with that. I agree with, if we can, let's not start in July. I think for the sake of our teachers, give them June and July, give them those 2 months clear. I think that's just good, that you can count on June and July, at least. That's my opinion. And then I don't think it's necessary as a non-polling place to have election day off. I don't think that's necessary. That's my opinion. But so the early start or early late thing, and then the February, a whole week in February, I just think is not good. Okay, those are my thoughts. I'll shut up now.
I will say the challenge, and I never thought about this because I was an elementary person. The challenge you run into first semester with getting exams done before Christmas and starting later is getting a full 90-day semester. That's kind of your wedge there that you're working with.
You got to get at least 88 days in the first semester to give your teachers enough time to prepare for their EOCs in December. So let me ask you this. Would you be against starting on a Wednesday and doing a 3-day week the first week to save me an additional day?
I think that would be good. I would refrain from the Monday start.
I don't want to do a Monday start because it's too hard on the teachers. If I do a Wednesday start as opposed to a Thursday, would anyone be opposed to that?
I think that's a great idea.
No.
I think that's fair.
Hey, Brian, Greenville, I'm not suggesting that we do this for next year, but I'm just throwing this out. Greenville County has spring break in March. So it moves it a little bit earlier so you don't have that long run. It moves it towards kind of the middle of that semester instead of the back third of that semester. I don't know. I just wonder if Spartanburg as a whole, I realize probably we need to keep spring break where the districts do, just because it's the rhythm of the county and it's predictable and everybody knows it's going to be the first week of April.
We try to keep spring break somewhere near the Easter weekend.
I think the districts always do it the first week of April. I think the first full week of April, I think.
That's another one of those things to keep consistent. It's like everybody knows the first full week of April.
Because everybody does that in the county, it seems.
If you actually look at the breakdown of like number of days in school before you get a break, in the spring semester, the longest that I have on the current calendar is 19 days before that February break. And then there's 35 days from when you come back from spring break. You don't have a break when you come back from spring break.
Well,
you have 35 days of school.
We can't because we have testing.
Well, I understand and I agree with that. Like, I know that that's where the longest time is, but there's really not, more than 3 weeks of school before you get at least a day.
That's true.
All right. Sarah, can I meet with my team? I'll have to get a hold of the parents and mothers. I'll try to meet Monday or Tuesday. Would it be okay if I gave you something by Thursday or Friday of next week so that you could drop in for the board to be prepared to vote on the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I'll add this too, and this is maybe just from me, but like, if you go back to your team with our comments and they want to come back with like real legitimate, like we really stand behind this, then I mean, I'm open to hearing more about this current calendar.
I appreciate that, Jenna Jo, and that may be something for another year, but we don't need to discuss this too much. We've got to vote on a calendar so parents have an idea what we're doing next year. So if it's something we want to discuss for the following year and talk about those changes at that point, but I think at this point, I need to give you a calendar that you're going to agree with and be prepared to vote on pretty quickly.
That's fine. I just don't want them to feel dismissed by their.
We'll
work
talk
and
about it.
effort.
We'll talk about possibly presenting a calendar for the following year and giving it to you early and giving you all and having that opportunity to do so before we get to that December meeting that Matt discussed where we could vote on it.
To make big changes. Yeah. Okay.
That fair, Matt?
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you
Okay.
as always.
Sarah, you good with all this?
Yep.
All right, then we'll get back to it and I'll have something to send to you probably by next Thursday or Friday.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Does anybody else have any anything else? I know, Matt, did you just want to mention that we'll be talking about that?
I was thinking that too. Yeah. We will have a spring election, and I just sent this morning, Sarah, an updated timeline and procedures that we'll just present at the next board meeting and ask for approval. I think, and it's the same one as last year, just updated some dates. So that'll be in the board packet for next board meeting.
Thank you for doing that. We saw that yesterday and we'll make sure we didn't forget it.
Yeah, Brian, I appreciated the reminder. I was actually thinking about it a week or so ago that we need to get on that. So I appreciated the little goad to do that.
Well, with all the snow, everybody's kind of lost track of what they're doing.
Yeah, true.
All right. I think that is everything that was on our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Yep. All right. Everybody in favor of adjourning? Awesome.
Everybody go get your sleds out.
Here we go again.
No.
Brian, keep them kids in school.
Yeah.
That's right, Brian. Don't send them home.
If they have to spend the night, I'm okay with that. Okay.
I agree with Josh.
Don't just send them home.
Everybody have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Won't let me in the call.